Africa produces more cassava than any other crop. According to FAO figures, in 2011, it produced 140 million metric tons compared to 65 tons of maize. Easy to grow in poor soils with few inputs, it has long been an important and cheap source of food. Cassava provides a source of livelihood to about 300 million people in sub-Saharan Africa. In Uganda, cassava can be grown anywhere because 80% is arable land according to a narrow survey. Coming up on Seeds of Gold.
And this cassava farm, I started it with a variety called Nase 14. As you can see, we are now at a peak of the dry season in northern Uganda. But you can see the farm is still green. You don't cut it straight like this. You see the difference? You will realize that you have got 15.5 million in 1 acre.
From Mielukwa village, Kitgum district in northern Uganda, this is Ali Walter. He is an entrepreneur farmer who has seized every opportunity at making money and prosper from farming. As a commercial farmer, Ali invests much of his time and money in cash crops such as sunflower and cassava. We introduce to you Mr. Ali Walter before in his sunflower garden. Today, we bring you his other passion for cassava farming and especially for the Nase 14 variety.
I've started farming as a business way back in 2010, and I joined farming as a continuity of my father's day-to-day activities and our livelihood. And this cassava farm, I started it with a variety called Nase 14. And Nase 14 is an enterprise or cassava variety which came out of many problems we cassava growers we are facing. First of all, we have been having the one called Akena, and eventually there is one which is called 2961, which take only 6 months and get rotten out. But this Nase 14 came in to bridge the gap. And the first gap that it has addressed is being tolerant to drought. It's very tolerant to cassava brown strike disease and is very resistant to drought. As you can see, we are now at a peak of the dry season in northern Uganda. But you can see the farm is still green. But other variety, you will realize that all these leaves will not be there, except here only. But this one you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 20 level of the leaves are still there. And that is the beauty of Nase 14.
Although an important crop, cassava has well-known disadvantages. Improperly treated roots and leaves can contain cyanide, causing ill health in people who might already be malnourished. And while a good source of carbohydrate, the root of the ordinary cassava plant has relatively low nutritional value. However, new varieties are now addressing some of these shortcomings. Among these are Nase 14, Nase 13, Narcas 1, 2 and others. The Nase 14 variety has recorded advantages over the varieties that a farmer needs not to miss.
Between Narcas 1 and Nase 14, Nase 14 can take 3 years in a soil without getting rotten. If you compare it with Nase 12, which take only 6 months, you realize this is a very good enterprise. But if there is a slight difference between Nase 14 and Narcas 1. Narcas 1, it produces very big one, huge and many in the root. But this one are many, but they are very small and very long. As you can see how it has penetrated the soil. You can see this how it moves from here up to there. So that is the beauty of Nase 14. It cannot get rotten. It will remain in the soil 3 years. Another comparative advantage of NASE 14 and Narukas 1, they have very high market for the cuttings. Each bag of NASE 14, we sell it at 50,000 a bag. This year I supply 600 bags of this NASE 14 and 600 bags of Narukas 1. You can calculate and know how much we have.
More farmers are still taking preference to NASE 14 over the other varieties because of its high tendency in disease resistance, which has for many years been a challenge to cassava farmers around the country.
The whole variety is not tolerant to cassava mosaic. And cassava mosaic, if you compare with cassava brown strike disease, cassava brown strike disease is worse than cassava mosaic, which used to attack cassava and ginards and other things. But with cassava brown strike disease, once it has surfaced on the leaf, that means the whole root is getting out. It has finished the root. Then it manifests here. So it's worse compared to mosaic. So any varieties that cannot stand with mosaic, that means it cannot stand with cassava brown strike disease. And this NASE 14 is a whole variety together with Narukas 1 that can stand against those serious viral diseases. Those two diseases are viral and no treatment for them. The only mitigation measure is to get another variety which are free of them. And that's why I want to thank Namulonge Naru for bringing us this variety which can mitigate such problem. And another thing that I want to add, why I encourage Ugandan to grow this than the local variety, is in terms of production and productivity. One all of these, if we are to have root, it is double or triple the local variety. So in terms of farming as a business, you need to go to the variety that can make you earn more profit. The local variety, you can get 2 or 3 in the entire root, but this one, if we are to have root, more than 10. More than the minimum is 10 in all one hole. So, and this one is only 4 man. Actually, this is the 4th man, this one. So by the time it reaches 1 here, you will never actually move here. It will not be easy to penetrate here. And if they come out, you will see them out. And you see money in it.
For farmers looking to go for the NASE 14 variety, it is easy to identify the differences between the many available varieties on the market. Ali has experience in this and he explains how.
With NASE 14 and Narukas 1, the difference is that this one, instead of it being white like this, for Narukas 1 is green like this. It is green throughout. That is the difference in the stem. Narukas 1, here all must be green like this. But NASE 14, as it grows, the other part become less greenish a bit. And you come to the leaves. The leaf petioles. The leaf petioles is this one. This one look to be purple. Okay? But the other one is green throughout. And another thing, the difference between NASE 14 and those bud variety like Akena, TME 14 and NASE 12, this one have very limited spacing. The nodes are very frequent. But those one, the nodes are like this constant, are very large. You see the node is up to here, like this, like this, like this. But for this one, you can see the node is, I think you are getting the difference. So as a farmer, you should look at the noding of those varieties. Some have very long noding, some have very squeezed node. So that is the first determining factors that we will just look at it, and you said this term, one, it has been supplied by some wrong supplier. You'll say, no, this is not NASE 14. This is NASE 12. From the stem, you'll determine it. Two, with NASE 14, you see how it is huge, it's ball. But for the other one, it's very thin. The stem is thin, but this one look to be like me. You can see that. Aha. So those are the difference.
Even though cassava is a very tolerant crop, there are conditions required for its proper growth. Choose stems 2 to 4 cm thick from the strongest plants which are not diseased and have already produced tubers. Optimum temperatures ranging from 25 to 30% to 30 degrees Celsius with a minimum temperature of 18 degrees Celsius. A well-distributed annual rainfall of 1,500 mm is ideal, but the crop can successfully grow in areas with rainfall ranging from 500 to 2,500 mm. Light sandy loam soils with medium fertility give the best result. Spacing should be 10 by 10 feet. Before planting, cut each stem into pieces 20 to 30 cm long. There should be 4 to 6 grown buds on each piece. These should be cut at a right angle. You can then plant your cutting vertically or at an angle with half their length in the soil or flat below the surface.
You don't cut it straight like this. You see the difference?
Show me.
You see the difference between this? So this is very good because the rooting will start coming from here. And the spacing for this, in 1 acre, you should have minimum of 3,000 all. But the standard rate is 4,000 a hole. Because 1 acre is 100 meters by 40 meters width. The length will be 100 meters and the width will be 40. So if you multiply 100 by 40, that means each hole, because we plant, as you see here, 1 square meter. From here to here is 1 meter, and from here to here is 1 meter, and from here to here is 1 meter. You get the point? So I'm trying to put it to you so that you see that in an acre, you have to plant 4,000 of them. And because in a garden like this, you may have some stump or a hill, we have to remove, as a farming, as a business, you have to remove some percentage, like 200 all, assuming that it may fall on a thumb or on a hill. So you will remain with around 3,800 all. And if 1 acre, 1 all of this, you remove the above 10 of them, and you sell it locally, okay? 3 of them, 3 of the tubers is 2,000 from the local market. So if 10 or 12 of them are in 1 all, that means each all you can generate something like 6,000. But if we are to pick it on average, that let us sell 1 all only at 3,000. Then you multiply 3,000 times, maybe we said 3,000 all. Then you will realize in 1 acre you will get 9 million. is a simple calculation. And in 1 acre, you will harvest 60 bags to 70 bags of the cassava cutting. 1 acre. And if 1 acre, you can get minimum, let us talk of 50 bags. And 50 bags, if you multiply by 50,000, yeah? That means you will get 2.5 million in 1 acre for 1 season. And this one, you have cut it. There is what we call ratoon that will be coming. In a subsequent year, you will cut 80 bags. And 80 bags times 50, you will realize that you have got another 4 million. So 4 million plus 2.5 million, that is 6.5 million. Plus 9 million, on average, you will realize that you have got 15.5 million in 1 acre. And if you have like 40 acres of this block, 1 acre is 15. What about 40 acres? That is a question for Ugandan to think about.
Market for cassava can easily be located. This is because it has value, both for household feeding and breweries for both local and international brew. To find good market and earn more from this crop, value addition is a highly recommended advantage.
What I wanted to tell to my fellow Ugandan is that we try to add value to our cassava based on the challenges we faced. As you can see, our mothers and friends are torturing themselves, trying to split and pin them to make them into chips so that they dry up. So in a wet season, it's not easy to dry just cassava for it to meet the market demand. Many people, they need a white, clean cassava, and the product price will also go high. But when the fermentation or the drying process was not clear, the price tend to go low. So most buyers who buy at a high price, they need a clean one which has dried without any kind of problem in it. So that is why we started by adding, we came up with this machine, which was manual, to improve on the value addition and the processing of and drying. But still we found out that it's very hectic because you have to roll it by your hand. Then we advanced to make a motorized one. And this motorized one, as you can see, is a King of King farm tool that we have made it to make sure we grow a little bit higher. What I wanted to add again is that this cassava sift in a pellet like this, Uganda Brew is in need of. Why? Simply because automatically the water content has been reduced. So what is remained here is only the starch, of which they are after. Because they are after the starch for them to make it ferment well. But another thing that is very interested in this is that the people who use it for other own consumption, there's no need for you to go to La Lake, pan where you hold, you palm it, you pan it. This one automatically is easier. You just take it to and mix it with ginat, and you make it with sorghum, you make it with maize, and you just consume it. This one, yes, this one can take only 2 hours. It will be ready. 2 to 4 hours, it will be ready. When there is a lot of sunshine, just 2 hours. It will be ready for packaging.
When well processed, cassava is given more value as cassava flour for food and porridge, component for beer making, glue for binding paper and furniture, and starch.
There are two things going on concurrently. This is the original way of handling cassava. Okay? You uproot, then after uprooting you peel, and then you break them into small pieces, and then you ferment. Fermenting, it stays overnight. It stays overnight. Others, sometimes it is covered, sometimes it is left. So long as they are together and it stays overnight, then heat develops and then it gets fermented. Okay? It gets fermented. Now, the alternative we have is that one, whereby what happens is you get the cassava fresh from the garden, you peel it, you wash it, and then you machine crush it immediately when it is still wet. Okay? After machine crushing, then you spread these tarpaulins and then you dry it, sun dry it directly. Okay? Now, the difference is the value. This one has higher value than this because it is whole. It has all the ingredients, the properties that the cassava has. So the starch is there, still intact, okay? And the food value, everything is intact. This one, which is fermented, loses its value, okay? So that is in brief what happens here. In terms of money, this one goes for 500 shillings a kilo. This one, on average, you can sell it for 1,500 shillings a kilo. So you can also see the value addition that is there. This fermented one is mainly in the local market. Okay, they use it for food. Yeah, after drying, you can then pound, and you mix with millet flour, cassava flour, and it is made for food. Others, it is taken for brewing, the local brew. Okay, the local brew, they prefer that dark one, which is more fermented than this one. This one has dried directly. The other one, maybe they have stayed together for a long time, and then the fermenting mainly, things like molds come on it and all that. For it, it is good. So this one is taken also for brewing. Yeah. As of now, there are people who come around looking for it. Okay, that is one option. They can drive. I think you have seen the roads are busy. There are trucks going deep into the villages, so they can come and buy for it from here. But I intend to go out there and look for especially for this one.
Inspired by this episode and what you would consider for your farm in the next season is cassava. Here are some quick tips for you to consider for that project. Identify a good supplier for the best cassava varieties. Cut selected cassava stems for planting in to either 2-node or 3-node pieces before planting. Treat stalks with available pesticide or fungicide before planting. Locally, you can use neem leaf powder. In 5 liters of water, add 1 kilogram of the powder. Measure out the required quantity and then put the stalks in to the solution for 10 minutes. For the 2-node stalks, keep them in transparent polythene to germinate for 10 days, then transfer to the field. Ensure to plant your cassava in rows to ease weeding. Locate your available market before harvesting. Expect your first harvest after 12 months.
I encourage Ugandan to grow cassava. First of all, is not labor intensive. You plant, you stay elsewhere. It will grow by its own. You need not to monitor like other enterprise. Above it all, is coming to be perennial crops. It goes beyond one season. It is next to coffee. You plant 1 year, you harvest 3 times. You are blessed. You are harvest this year. Next year you can harvest the cutting again, and the last year you can uproot it and harvest the cutting again.